Hello, I'm Alan Edwards from Estyn, and I've been asked to share with you some of our findings from our engagement visits and curriculum thematic reports, and I hope that this helps inform your discussions. I will also mention some of the common myths and misconceptions that we've heard about our approaches to evaluating curriculum and teaching when we visit and inspect providers. I think it's worth me first noting that Estyn do not have a preferred methodology for a school developing their curriculum, and we don't have any required steps that a school must go through. We have, however, aligned our expectations to those shared in the journey to rollout, and we continue to recognise the importance of high quality teaching as the key enabler to successful curriculum rollout. As part of our engagements with schools, we've recognised some common strengths and barriers to curriculum rollout, and I'd like to outline some of those with you now. In terms of strength, we've regularly talked about the importance of clear, effective leadership and how effective leaders establish a clear and well understood vision that has underlying principles for their design process. And they use this as a framework within which all staff can then plan and evaluate their proposed changes. We've seen the importance of clear communication from leaders in ensuring a whole school strategic approach to curriculum planning. I mentioned vision, but I'd like to talk about that a little more. We have highlighted the importance of developing a clear and well understood vision for curriculum and teaching regularly in our reports. Where leaders have developed a clear vision, it has helped develop staff confidence and also improve their understanding of the overall direction for curriculum and teaching in their schools. However, there is an important myth to mention here. We've heard from a number of schools that they believe that Estyn will require them to develop a vision for all individual AOLEs and the wider skills. And I think it's important to note that that isn't our expectation. Again, as I said earlier, we don't have a preferred approach, but we have seen things work well, where a school has a single whole school vision for curriculum and teaching that is well understood at all levels. And in these schools, it's enabled different subject areas or phase leads to develop their teaching and learning in line with the whole school vision, as well as meeting the teaching and learning requirements specific to their area, discipline or phase. I said it earlier, but I'll mention it again now, that we've talked a lot about high quality teaching being an essential building block to the success of a school's curriculum. And we've noted the importance of a school reviewing their approach to teaching to ensure they continually drive improvement. By focusing on teaching and learning, teachers develop a common understanding and a sense of purpose, not through the what, but the how of their teaching. Where senior leaders focus well on improving teaching, we've outlined some general principles that they follow. And generally, these leaders have high expectations for the quality of learning and teaching in their schools. They have clear policies for teaching, feedback and curriculum that all staff understand and adhere to. They engender a culture of inquiry and engagement and regularly place teaching and pedagogy as key agenda items on senior leader and whole staff meetings. These leaders trust their staff to make professional choices and have developed an open classroom policy where they create opportunities for professional dialogue around teaching. In these schools, professional development is used as strategic opportunities to explore further initiatives in teaching and learning. And they create dedicated time for teachers to take part in peer observations and action research. And this research has helped to inform decisions about the strategy their school will take. Also, these leaders establish strong relationships within their school and beyond it, and they also regularly seek and act upon expert advice. Those are just some of the strengths that we've seen around schools developing their approaches to curriculum, and now I'd like to outline briefly some of the barriers. The first common barrier that we've seen has been as part of our thematic reporting mainly, and that's been where we see a lack of whole school strategic planning around curriculum and teaching. Where leaders have not fully understood or embraced the underpinning aims of the new curriculum and do not always think or plan strategically enough about developing their vision for their curriculum, learning and teaching, it hasn't always supported them to move this aspect forward as they might have liked. For example, a few schools have talked to us about how they moved too quickly to making whole-scale changes to the departments and AOLEs without thinking about their vision for curriculum and teaching first, and this sometimes had a negative impact on their rollout or on pupil progress. For example, some of these leaders talk to us about setting an overarching theme for the whole of the science and technology area of learning, without first thinking about the learning in the separate disciplines. Or another example is where schools have talked about holding individual lessons for the whole of the languages, literacy and communication area of learning experience, without developing pupils' skills in Welsh, English and international languages first well enough. And this often led to tentative links being made and did not have a positive impact on pupils' learning or progress. These schools told us that they had to reinforce the importance of subject knowledge to enable pupils to develop and apply their skills so that they then could apply them in a multidisciplinary way. In these cases, the schools had to take a step back and rethink about the quality of teaching and reconsider their vision for curriculum and teaching. And of course, this is fine and helpful for us to share because not every school will get it right and be successful all of the time. It's important that what these schools did was reflect on their practice and then adapt it and amend accordingly. I suppose earlier as well, we talked about high quality teaching, and it's important that I mention here that where schools have weaknesses in teaching, they've generally found it harder to secure a high quality curriculum. Improving the quality of teaching and developing an understanding of the interdependency between the success of curriculum, assessment and high quality teaching is a key milestone in preparing for the rollout of curriculum for Wales. And we've seen examples of schools taking approaches to overcome this, and we mentioned those in the strengths. A few schools have talked to us about being constrained by current practice. And generally, in some cases, more often in secondary school, teachers have felt that they've been restricted by the current timetabling issues, and that sometimes has inhibited their creativity and stopped them approaching for curriculum for Wales in the way they might like. Some teachers have said that they felt it limits really their risk taking. In response to this, a few leaders have talked to us about how they're trying to develop their thinking and consider how they can differently look at the possibilities that could be created within the school day. I'd like just to talk about one last barrier now, and that is where schools have not focused enough on what they want their pupils what they want for their pupils in their school, and in particular the learning that they want their pupils to go through as they move throughout their education. And by that I mean, in some examples, after their visioning work, schools have not always taken the time to consider the knowledge, skills and experiences that their pupils will need to succeed. In the best examples, we've seen leaders and staff in schools thinking about the knowledge, skills and experiences that their pupils need at a disciplinary level to support them when they start considering then how to develop a coherent approach across an area of learning experience and across their whole curriculum. This meant that they were able to think about how they would develop a coherent curriculum across all areas of learning experience. This isn't to say that it has to be done in that order, but in our early engagement with schools, leaders have found this helpful in supporting them to think about how they will build a progressive and meaningful curriculum that ensures all learning in schools is underpinned by a clear purpose. Thank you for listening to this video, and I hope that it does help inform your discussions this afternoon.